The ice type may be a bad type in competitive Pokemon, but are the Pokemon themselves bad? Considering it's that time of the year where the holiday festivities start and the freezing icy temperatures come in depending on where you live, I'm going to be ranking every ice type Pokemon. I'll be ranking them based on how much I like them, and that's it. Anyways, before we begin, let's talk about the tiers and what they mean. F tier is an absolute dumpster fire of a quote unquote Pokemon. D tier is a decent amount below the average of all my Pokemon opinions. C tier is the average of all my Pokemon opinions. B tier is a bit above the Zlippy Pokemon average, and a quite solid mon indeed. A tier is quite a good amount of my Pokemon average, and a Pokemon I really like. S tier means it's in my top 50 Pokemon of all time, and I adore it. Let's get into this. 65 is Frigibax. I never liked this stupid looking coffee bean Pokemon. This is one of the ugliest things I've ever seen. I absolutely despise it and its stupid little ribbons it waves around. It acts like a little spoiled brat and I hate it. 64 is Smoochum and it's not far behind. I don't like this thing's stupid looking crop top. It just looks like a bratty child that you'd find in a beauty store. And I absolutely hate it. And it is so annoying in Little Cup. It's not even good. It's just cheesy with like Hypnosis and Blizzard and stuff. And I just despise it. Crabominable is at 63. This is the one of, if not the ugliest Pokemon I've ever seen. It looks so clunky. It doesn't look natural. And I don't know how you went from Crabrawler to Crabominable. And like, why is it even nice type? Why couldn't we have just gotten a cool, slick, purple punching crab like Crabrawler is? And instead, we got this absolute mess that evolves way too late game to use it in its own generation. Vanillish is 62. This is one of the most forgettable Pokemon I've ever seen. Vanillite, the little baby, is kind of cute. I actually quite like it. And Vanillux is surprisingly powerful and I think looks goofy. But Vanillish is literally just Vanillux, but with a lot less flair, a lot worse, and just way too boring. I don't know why this exists. Like, you could have just easily made the Vanillite line a 2-stage evolution and it would have looked fine. But Vanillish feels so out of place and I just do not like it one bit. Mega Abomasnow is an absolute Obama Snow nation. This is at 61. I do not get why they made this into a ball. It looks just like it looks like that spiky ball from Diary of a Wimpy Kid. That's what this thing looks like. Its face looks like one of those smushed cats. And sure, it may be strong, but at the same time, there's so many cooler ice types. And why Abomasnow to use a snow setter when a Alolan Ninetales is right there? I just hate this thing's design, and I don't really find it that fun to use in battle, so it goes here. Arctovish is at 60. The one thing I like about this is the upside down face and how it eats like above its head. That's pretty cool. It also looks stupid. It looks like you cracked open its head. And this is such a disgrace to the Gen 8 fossils, which I actually really like them. It's just so boring compared to the others. And it looks like it was flipped upside down. Like, if this was literally flipped the other way, I think I would have liked it way more. But it's not. It just looks so slow and clunky, and it is at the end of F tier. Jinx is at 59. I just kind of feel like bad for Jinx. For one, Jinx used to be in a trio with Electabuzz and Magmar. They got pre-evolution together in Gen 2, but when it came to Gen 4, Jinx didn't get a third evolution. If Jinx got an evolution, I think I would have liked the line way more. But it's just weak and it looks weird. It's a product of its time, let's just say. Another thing is that Magmar and Electabuzz in VGC, because they can hold Eviolites, they're actually pretty decent. But you know, Jinx has never seen use. Jinx is ugly. Jinx is a bad shiny. It's just weird. It's uncomfortable. Jinx is just not very good. But I guess it's kind of strong in a playthrough. Maybe. So it goes here at 59 at the start of D tier. 58 is Snover. I don't know. I just think Snover, it's not very interesting. It's just a little pine cone guy, and I kind of wish they went more into the pine cone and less into the snow. He's not bad. He's just very, very forgettable. You know, he is pretty good in Little Cup, surprisingly, as like the one hail setter. That's a cool fun fact. But besides that, he's just a little guy who I don't really find that cute or interesting. Bergmite is at 57. This is just a weird looking Pokemon. I guess it's okay, but it doesn't really feel complete. And I always preferred Avalok, because Avalok's funny, it's flat. But Bergmite is just a little piece of ice with feet and eyes, which is fine. But one, it has a really bad shiny, and two, it is way too common in Legends Arceus. Like, it is all over the ice area, and I just kind of got sick of seeing it, and my likeness for it went way down. Cryogonal is at 56. This is just such a weird abstract Pokemon. It has like little floating blue balls. It doesn't really have a face, but it kind of has eyes. It's just so obscure and abstract. It's not very common in Gen 5, so you can't really use it all that much. And it's kind of locked to the DLC in Gen 8, so you barely see this thing. And when you do, it's okay, I guess. But mixed with it having a bad shiny and its design sure being a design, it goes here. I just never really enjoyed this thing too much, but I understand why people do. Hot take, I kind of really don't like Kyurem. It's at 55. It feels incomplete. I get that is the point of the Pokemon, to feel incomplete, but even if it's meant to look weird, it still looks weird, and I don't like it. I just, it looks like it's in pain. Like you need to put this thing down. Why is it bending so much? It kind of looks like if Arctibax evolved, doing a Digimon evolution into Kyurem. I like the fact that it combines with Zekrom and Reshiram, but those are completely different Pokemon, and they are somewhere else on the list. Kyurem on its own is just kind of awkward, so it slots in right here. 54 is Glalie. Glalie, listen, I found Glalie in Horizon kind of funny because it just goes and booms and that's it. But that is like the one thing of Glalie I enjoy. It's just so much worse than Frostlass, and it kind of feels like weird. Like, how did you go from the little tiny yellow Snorunt to this Glalie? I just really think it looks weird. It has like buck teeth. I guess the little spines are cool. It would have been cool if it kept its limbs, like if it was a little floating ball with like arms and feet or something. But it's just a ball, and I don't really like its design. Kind of find it forgettable and find it a weird evolution. Mr. Mime of the Galarian variety is here at 53. I don't know. This is just such a mixed bag. Like, one, its idle animation, it does kind of this stupid looking dance. Like, I found this thing looked way worse than Mr. Mime, and it never really interested me too much. It kind of feels like you took all the pizzazz away from Mr. Mime. Like, its hands became super tiny, and I really like the big hands of Mr. Mime. Especially because this thing doesn't have the iconicity of Mr. Mime. So it just feels like at a spot like, oh yeah, Galarian Mr. Mime, that exists. And that's about as much as I'll think about this thing. Besides the GOAT Mr. Rhyme. Seal is at 52. One of the laziest Pokemon of all time. And I sort of kind of get an enjoyment from that. Like, people absolutely like rag on this thing and despise it. putting in like bottom F tier, which I think that's too much energy to use on just a little seal that's forgettable. It exists, you forget about it, there, it's done. It's just Gen 1 being Gen 1, and it's kind of funny because it's so lazy, and besides that, it's nothing really special. Amora is next at 51. This thing looks straight out of My Little Pony, and it doesn't really give me good vibes. Like, I guess the fact that its little head bits can glow is kind of cool, but Aurora's did that better, so I don't really get it. And it's supposed to be a cute fossil, but there's cuter fossils like Archon or Kabutops, so it doesn't really excel at that either. Its type is complete ass, 4 times weaknesses, barely any resistances, so can't really use this thing in battle. And it just doesn't feel like it does anything special, so I kind of just forget about it. 50 is Mega Glalie. I'll give it this. This is definitely better than the normal Glalie, but I kind of wish this was just an evolution on its own and not a Mega, because it is not very good as a Mega. It kind of needs its ability to function, and literally all it does is use Ice-type Stab Explosion. I also just really wish this thing could have arms. Like, it is so close to being this little snowball gremlin looking like the Ice Spirit from Clash Royale, but it's just not. It is just a weird floating ball, and it loses the funny explosion in the anime, but I do kind of like the open mouth, and the fact that it has like a Pac-Man jaw, Pac-Man style is kind of funny. 49 is Rotom Freeze. Listen, this isn't the funniest Rotom. Like, I think Rotom Mo, Rotom Fan, and Rotom Wash are funnier than this thing, so it doesn't excel at that. It's not very good in battle. It just has its only Ice-type stab move being Blizzard, which having your only stab move not being fully accurate is kind of sad, but I digress. And a Fridge is a pretty unique design, but I prefer every other Rotom, and a lot of the times forget this one exists, so it just goes here. 48 is Hisuian Avalok. Listen, the fact that the final Titan is like a fucking kaiju, like, this is the closest thing besides Tyranitar in the like Gen 5 Pokemon movie thing that will get to a kaiju. It was like the size of the ice crater in the middle. But I just think it looks weird. It has the spikes in front, which I don't really like the spikes in the front. And it is just way worse than normal Avalugg. Normal Avalugg isn't even good. Listen, I get why people love Glaceon, but I never did. It's at the end of our D tier at number 47. Listen, the design is pretty decent. It's pretty mediocre in terms of battling, and I guess I liked Mersha's Glaceon in the anime, but I hate this thing's bangs. Like, I get it's a semi-interesting design choice, but I don't really like bangs on my little dog thing. It just kind of ruins the whole package from me. It's just a bit below average, and I can see how people love this thing, but this is definitely my least favorite evolution, and it goes here, which is wrapping up at the end of our D tier. Baxcalibur starts C tier at 48. This is an okay pseudo, but I don't really enjoy it too much, especially because it comes from the Hellspawn Frigibax. Its ability is pretty cool, it's decent in battle, it's kaiju-like, but not the most kaiju-like pseudo. It is just overall a decent Pokemon, though it does have a bad shiny and the worst pre-evolution it could. 47 is Articuno. I used to hate Articuno a lot more than I do now. I see why people like it, it's majestic. I just think Galarian Articuno does the whole ribbon tail thing way better, and especially because this thing is absolutely ass in battle, and it's just not that special, topped off with having a really boring shiny. I do love the name though. 46 is Kalos Avalugg. This is just the Hisuian variant, but I prefer its design. I prefer the more spread out table design, and it is a lot better in battle. Like, it's really good in inverse battles and showdown, and it's just a really fun Pokemon to use, and it's flat, which is just funny. 45th is Vanillite. This is such a cute little guy. He even has his own little brand, the Castelia cones in Castelia City. In the anime, Team Rocket sometimes sells Vanillite cones. It's just a really cute Pokemon that's pretty memorable for just being an ice cream, and one I quite enjoy. Again, I wish Vanillish didn't exist and it was just a 2-stage line. 44 is Vanillux. Vanillux is pretty cool. I like it's almost like stick. It's smoking icy wind. It's almost kind of looks like a chimney smoke, like Galarian Wheezing, which I find cool. As well as it being shockingly strong. Like, I don't expect this thing to be very powerful, but it has quite a good special attack. And it's just overall a really fun Pokemon to use that I find extremely overhated, though it does have kind of a mediocre shiny. 43 is Dugong. The most I can really say about Dugong is that it's kind of cool, and I really liked it in the anime. It was like a recurring joke where Go could never catch a Dugong. That gives it some memorability, but besides that, it's just pretty cute, and it had a funny cry in the first Pokemon movie. 42 is Piloswine. Piloswine's in the middle evolution spot. Not as cute as Swinub, not as cool as Mamoswine. And it's just pretty decent overall, and something you can't go wrong with. So it goes here in 42. Obama Snow is in 41. This was the premier hail setter before Alola Ninetales came along, and it's pretty cool. The abominable snowman. It's a pine cone, kind of. It's just overall pretty cool, though it can be on the ugly side sometimes, and it does have a bad mega. And overall, it is just not the most coolest thing. It is semi-clunky, but it's pretty cool and has its own niche. 40 is Kyurem Black. Definitely the worst of the two Kyurems by a lot. It looks a lot less natural than Kyurem White, and it just has a less cool move. Like, Fusion Bolt is just less cool than Fusion Flare, in my opinion. And I always preferred Reshiram's design over Zekrom. But don't get me wrong, this is a semi-cool dragon that looks decent, just a lot worse than its white counterpart, and semi-clunky, as well as not being as cool. Satotl is 39. This is such a cute little baby. It looks like it didn't know how it just came here. Looks confused at every step, but it also looks happy at every step. You cannot hate this thing. It's all over Glaciato Mountain, running over, having fun. It's just a cute little ball narwhal thing, and you can't go wrong with that. 38 is Sneasel. Sneasel is quite cool, and I like its built-in rivalry with Chansey, how it steals its eggs. It is kind of obsolete now that Weavile exists, and it wasn't very good until Weavile exists. But it's pretty cool. I don't mind it. And it ends off our C tier, meaning from now on, these are Pokemon that I like. They're in my upper average of Pokemon, the upper 50%, you could say. Beartic is 37. 1. I liked his Pokemon's official art. It looks like it's trying to give a hug, which is pretty cool. It's decently powerful, but besides that, not much. It's just a really cool bear that has a funny position. 36 is the Titan. This is such a weird Pokemon. Like, it feels awkward when it moves. It kind of has to turn its whole body. It has a weird ass mouth, but I like it. It's like a freaky, creepish little whale that's fun to use and has a cool design, as well as a banger shiny. And you really can't go wrong with the Titan unless you get too weirded out by it. I just think it's a really cool design. 35 is Calyrex Ice. This is just Calyrex, but it has a rider on it. Though I prefer Calyrex without the rider, the rider doesn't completely ruin the design. So it's fine, it's at 35. You can't go wrong with that. Celio's at 34. And this is like the Piloswine for the Steel line. Literally same situation. It's just, I think Piloswine is a lot less cool than the epic Celio. Like, look at his mustache. He's just such a little trooper. And I quite like him for that. So, he goes here. 33 is Cubchoo. Cubchoo is absolutely adorable. So I do think it is less cute than some other Pokemon in this list. And the snot really hurts it at this point. Like, it's kind of just weird and uncomfortable. Like, you had such a cute design and then you gave it a little snot bubble for no reason. It's pretty cute, but again, that snot bubble is really not doing it any favors. 32 is Regice. Regice is quite a cool Pokemon. It has lots of cool coverage, and it has one of the worst shinies ever, sadly. But, having a really high special defense is pretty cool, and it's probably my second favorite of the original Reggie trio, or my least favorite of all the Reggies. It's kind of hard to say. The Reggies are quite solid in general, and this is definitely not a bad Pokemon. So it goes here at number 32, which is the halfway point of our list. Now that we're halfway through, I just want to remind you to like and subscribe if you're enjoying what you're seeing, and join the Discord to get content updates, or know when I'm streaming, or just hang out. Anyways, back to the list. Aurora's is at 31. Again, same with Aurora. Its tight is absolutely awful, but the Brontosaurus design is pretty cool, and I like that its little head fin thingies glow. That's a really cool touch. Mixed with it having a decent shiny, this is overall a decent fossil, though I very much prefer Tyrantrum over Aurora's. Galarian Darumaka is 30. This is just such a silly little goober. He does a little dance, he hops around, he evolves into an absolute powerhouse, he does a little dance. You can never go wrong with Galarian Darumaka, and it's definitely a bit better than the original. Delibird is 29. I love Delibird. He's such a festive little goober. You can never hate Delibird. Problem is, he absolutely sucks in battle. This is an all-design, no-substance Pokemon. Because, he's really cute. He, stands around a Christmas tree in Poke Park Wii Pikachu Adventure, which I remember as a little kid really enjoying the Delibird there. But you can never use Delibird in battle effectively, which kind of sucks. 28 is Glastrier. This is a surprisingly really strong Pokemon. I prefer it over Spectrier. I really like its ice helmet and ice shoes. It really completes the design. While it may be simple, this is a really strong and fun Pokemon to use as a Trick Room sweeper with a really cool design, and sadly, the shiny could not match the pretty coolness of Glastrier. It's basic, but effective. 27 is Arctibax. This is probably one of the better middle stage pseudos. I like its little hands, I like its back spike. It feels like a natural progression from ugly ass Bean to Arctibax to Excalibur, and I quite enjoy it. It's just a solid Pokemon. There's not much more to say about it. Snorunt comes in at 26. This is such a shivery little goober, He's always so cold. He has a cute, simple design. And I kind of wish Glalie could match more of the design of Snorunt, because I love his little coat and his chattery little teeth. He's the definition of way too cold. And you can't really go wrong with him in any appearance he's in, which is pretty fun. And him evolving into Frostlass if he's female is cool. He's a pretty neat shiny. I just really love Snorunt. 25 is Weavile. This is definitely a Pokemon I find overhyped. don't get me wrong, I really quite like it a decent amount. It's in my high B tier, and it has cool claws and stuff, but like, this is not as cool as a Pokemon people say it is. And I kind of weirdly think if they went more into what they were going with Sneasel, could have been better. I especially like Sneasel's darker color more. The Weavile is much stronger, and I would say cooler. You can never go wrong with Weavile, except for its really ugly shiny. Alolan Slandshrew is at 24. Listen, this is such a cool evolution on the concept of Sandshrew. Sandshrew, and let's go right, he rolls behind you, so he rolls into a little ball. That's Sandshrew's gimmick. Alolan Sandshrew spins kind of like a curling puck because it's an ice type. That's so cool. It's also inspired by an igloo, which is so neat. I kind of really love that. And it's just a really cute little guy. It's not too strong, and there's definitely cuter ice types, but I really like it for what it is, and it is definitely a good regional variant. 23 is Hailstorm Castform. This is definitely the best Castform form. Has cute little smokes around it. It's shiny, has nice colors. It's just a cute little curious guy. There's not a lot to say. It's not very strong. It's just kind of cute and really enjoyable, and that's about it. Walrein tops off our B tier at 23. This is a perfect way to evolve on this field line. I really like its hair. It almost feels like an emperor, and it's just really cool. I like its tusks. It is pretty simple, but quite effective. And seeing the alpha version of it in the coastlands shore on the beach, it's pretty cool. I just think this thing is neat. There's not much more to it. It's just a cool final evolution. So that's the end of our B tier. Here's the list. Now we're getting into the Pokemon I really like or quite kind of love. These are my Scrimblow, Bimblow ice types. Can't go wrong with these. 21 is Frostmoth. This is a pretty cool Pokemon. A nice majestic bug. It's really OP in Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket, which I find really fun. It gives it a little niche, like, oh, it's remembered for that. That's cool. I also just like its wings, how it's like semi-transparent, and this is overall just a pretty cool Pokemon. 20 is Cloyster. Cloyster is really fun to use in battle. It gets Shell Smash, has really high defense stats, so the defense part of drop of it doesn't really matter. Skill Link Ice Spear and Rock Glass is really cool. It is kind of carried by that factor, and it has a pretty nice shiny as well. Mostly just it's really fun to use in battle because its design isn't all that special. But when you play random battles and get a Cloyster, it's going to be a fun time, so that's why it's here. 19 is Noise Form Ice Cube. Basically, this is just less cool Ice Cube. Still awesome because, in single battles, Ice Cube gets off a belly drum, and this is a fast sweeper, which is really cool. As well as just the name Noise being kind of peak. Like, you can't go wrong with an official Pokemon form being called Noise. It's so peak. It goes here at 19. 18 is Frostlass. Definitely the better of the two Snorunt evolutions, and it's really sad that this didn't get the Mega, but Glalie did. It is just quite cool. Adding the Ghost type to the evolution really fits it. And the lore of it luring people to the mountains and freezing them is pretty cool. Fits the spooky theme. So overall, just a really good new evolution for the Snorunt line, and it's something the line really needed. 17 is Kyurem White. This is definitely the cooler of the Kyurem forms, especially because the light blue of the Kyurem Ice and the white of Reshiram fits a lot better than the black and light blue on Kyurem Black. Plus, a ice type with a signature fire move is definitely cooler than an ice type with a signature electric move. That's just really cool. And it might be a bit over the top in terms of design, but it's definitely cool. And it is better than Kyurem Black and the better of the Black 2 legendaries, and actually almost makes Kyurem look okay. 16 is Mamoswine. Probably one of the most iconic ice types out there. It's just a big, bulking behemoth. Its tusks are huge and pretty strong in battle. You know, you can never go wrong with Mamoswine. I do feel that it's a bit too rounded, a bit too egg-shaped for my liking. Like, they could have probably gave this thing ears or just something to not make it look so bald. But you cannot lie, it's just a cool big mammoth. And I don't really see how anyone can really hate this thing. It's quite a strong Pokemon design, and it goes here up in here in A tier. 16 is Iron Bundle. This is such a cool evolution on Delibird, actually making Delibird strong, giving it moves like Icy Wind to be good in doubles. Also, the fact that they turned it from being a Santa bird to a bird with a hyper water jet thing is really cool. And its head springs out, like kind of like those toys in cartoons where with the springy head. It's like the coil head from Lethal Company as a stupid little Christmas bird. I love him. He's actually good in battle. This is just 100% a better Delibird design. You can never go wrong with it. Spheal is 15. Now, Spheal, obviously, it's cute and punchable. It's not the end-all, be-all cute Pokemon people say it is. It's just a cute little ice type, though there are cuter ice types. You know, it's just a ball. It's a seal. Seals are awesome. It's a spherical seal. That's a great name. And it's overall just a little cutie patootie that goes up at 15. 14 is Swinub. Hot take. This is definitely cuter than Spheal. You know, I love his animation in the 3D games where he's always just sniffing around because there's so much hair on his eyes, he's practically blind. He kind of needs his nose to get around. This is just a little shrub. It's like a little bean. It's so cute. It looks so tired all the time. Kind of looks sad, but also cute and curious. And you just literally can't hate this thing. And if you do you even have a heart? Do you need to like go to the doctor? Like, look at him. He's Bean. 13 is Snom. You guys know why Snom is peak, though it does have a bad shiny. So I'm gonna just tell you a fun Snom story. On my second playthrough of Sword and Shield, I had no idea how to evolve Snom, and I wanted to use it. I was too lazy to search it up, so I ended up leveling up to level 98 and just used a level 98 Snom until eventually Friendship worked. So the whole time when I got Snom, I was using a level 98 Snom on my playthrough team, and it kind of put in work even though it was one of the weaker members because again, this is a Snom, it cannot be that strong. That emotional attachment I have to that thing boosts it up tier. You may have noticed the actual placement of the Pokemon in the voiceover have gotten a bit misaligned, but that should be fixed now. Number 10 is Alolan Sandslash. This is a Pokemon I used on my first Ultra Moon playthrough, and it did not disappoint. For one, Ice Steel is actually a really cool typing, and it may not be that good of a typing. It's 4 times weak to fighting and steel, but it is a cool typing. And having Metal Ice Claws is sick. It's a lot less cool than Sandslash in my opinion, because I do prefer the agileness of Sandslash over the strong sturdiness of Alolan Sandslash, but the colors make up for it, so I overall prefer the Alolan version over the Cantonian version, and it goes here to start off our top 10. Our 9th place is Chien-Pao. This is definitely my favorite Swords of Ruins. For one, it is really fun to use in battle, has cool stab, strong sucker punch. Things like really fun to use in doubles. For second, it's a saber-toothed tiger Pokemon. Like, how do you hate this thing? It has swords for tusks. That is so cool. It also has a pretty cool shiny. And this is overall an absolutely sick Pokemon and a really good legendary. Number 8 is normal mode Galarian Darmanitan. This is such a silly Pokemon for how broken it is. You can easily give this thing 1000 attack because of its ability Guerrilla Tactics, working as a choice band. So, give it an extra choice band for damage or a choice scarf for speed. It literally doesn't matter because this thing's locked into one move no matter what. This is such a little goober. Like, why is his head so big? But I absolutely love it. And I kind of like how his head is kind of hinting at Galarian Darmanitan. Because normal Darmanitan and normal Zen mode Darmanitan, there's nothing hinting at it being Zen mode. But for the Galarian version, they have the same little snowball head, which is cool. I like a cool detail like that. So overall, just a really fucking strong Pokemon that also happens to be really funny. Number 7 is Lapras. The iconic ice type when you think ice types is probably Lapras. Had a huge part in the anime with Ash using Lapras to traverse the Orange Island. It's so majestic and pretty cool. I do find it a bit overrated, but you just can't go wrong with Lapras. So much has been said about this thing. It's absolutely iconic, so it goes here at the last Pokemon of our A tier. Here's the list, and now let's get into the cream of the icy crops. Number 6 is Mr. Rhyme. This is such a cool Pokemon. For one, it has 2 faces. Its stomach is actually a face and can, have the faint squiggly eyes. Another cool detail about this Pokemon, besides its just insanely cool design, like he can dance, he's just a little posh lad, can't hate him. But in the Leon Champion fight at the end of Journeys, Ash beats the icy psychic terrain by using Farfetch'd to use X-Scissor on the terrain, which is actually a callback to the Olympia fight in X and Y, when Ash used Hawlucha, a fighting type bird like Sirfetch'd, using a bug type move, either for Sirfetch'd's case Fury Cutter, but for Lucha's case X-Scissor, on a psychic type terrain, either the psychic terrain or Trick Room, and breaking it, which is cool character development. Might seem a bit random, but I love little aspects like that, and I just love Mr. Rhyme's design. It even kind of looks like he's holding an Ice Terra Shard, which is cool. You just can't hate this thing, so it goes here at the start of our S tier. Number 5 is Arctozolt. I find this thing super funny. Like, it looks like a little bird got stuck in ice, and he's like really cold. I don't know how he's alive. I think we should put him down. But also having a really cool signature move in Bolt Beak, where if you outspeed, it does double damage, even though this thing has like 70 speed. It's not outspeeding a lot of things. Another thing is I have nostalgia for this thing. I used it on my very first Sword playthrough, and it put in some work in the final gym, as well as finding a shiny Arctozolt in raids back in the day that I named Seashell, and I really like him. I love Seashell. This is just such a cool, funny designed Pokemon, and it's probably my favorite of the Gen 8 fossils, surprisingly, considering that's a bunch besides Arctozolt, or Arctofish, whatever the fuck his name is. He's so pointless, I'm forgetting his name. Stupid fish thing. It's just so cool. Like, look at it. You may think it looks weird, but I think that helps it. Number 4 is Ice-Faced Ice-Q. For one, this is really fun to use in single battles. Against a physical attacker, you set up a belly drum, your Ice Face breaks, you're at +6 attack and are faster. And it's just pretty funny. Like, look at him. He's just a little guy. He has a little face. He's so stupid, but I love him. He's so gimmicky, but I love him. He floats all the way from the Galar region, the Kanto region in the anime, just by being a stupid little guy who slept on an ice cube. That is so funny. The fact that he uses the head as a floaty again is so peak. I love this thing. This thing looks like it just doesn't know how to do anything but gets everything done. And that's how I describe my love for this thing. So it goes here at number 4. Number 3 is Zen Mode Galarian Darmanitan. This is such a cool idea for a fire and ice Pokemon. Having a snowman whose nose is a fire sport is so cool. And it fits the Zen Mode stick that the Gen 5 variant did so well. It feels like such a natural evolution of that concept while also tying in the fire type Unova variant. Like, it's one of those two-faced Pokemon like Mr. Rhyme, but it just jumps around like a little snowman and causes mayhem, and that's just really cool. I love the red mask. This is just such a cool Pokemon, and honestly, I can't understand how you would hate this thing. Such a fun concept that works really well. The only drawback is that Zen mode is 1, really hard to get, and 2, really hard to activate, so you barely use this thing. But when you do use it, it's so much fun. Alolan Vulpix is at number 2. For one, the main reason why it's up here, besides the fact that it is such a good way to introduce Alolan variants and regional variants in general, I'm pretty sure this was the first one revealed, and thank God, because turning a cool fire fox into an Arctic white snow fox is such a creative concept that works so well, and this thing is just so cute. I want to squeeze it. Lily's Vulpix was super cool in the anime. You know, Lily had the arc of not hating touching Pokemon, just like had trauma, and then trained with Snowy and eventually used a Z move in the final champion area in the league. It was just so cool, and I just really like this Pokemon because of that. And it's also just a really cute little goober. And if you were paying attention, you'd probably know it's number 1. My favorite regional variant at number 1 is Alolan Ninetales. This is such a beautiful, majestic Pokemon, obviously. It doesn't really have the Ninetales thing that Ninetales has, but it just looks way better. It's like a pile of snow turned into a fox. It also has really cool lore. Like, this thing looks like, oh, it's be so majestic and nice. But no, it lures people to the mountains and then just, like, freezes them and taunts them, which is really mean, but really cool. And doesn't really fit the fairy type. But this design sure does fit fairy type. Having Snow Warning as its ability is really cool. You know, it is the premier Aurora Veil setter, which gives it a cool niche. It is just so much fun to use in battle. Such a pretty design. Such cool lore. Such a good spin on Ninetales. This is just everything a regional variant and an ice type wants to be. And it is my premier chilly, breezy, snowy, ice Pokemon that there ever was. And that wraps off our list. That's the end of the video. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe and join the Discord in the description. This was pretty fun to make, and this is probably going to be my last video of the year. So I hope you enjoyed it. So anyways, until next time.